La da da dee, la da da da, la da da dee. Ooh, it's a beauty and the breakdown. Yeah, we don't have an intro song.
I just let you go solo on that.
Wide open space.
Beauty and the breakdown.
We should do a day where we just sit here for an hour just trying to sing it.
That's like the whole podcast is us just singing an intro song.
We really want to get this girl that we found on Instagram. She's like 8 years old and she sings her fucking neck muscles out, dude. It's crazy.
She's
You
not
should
good.
just say "Beauty and the Breakdown" in the Wide Open Spaces melody. That would
Beauty
be.
and
There's
the
several podcasts that
breakdown
use like that are just like parodies of
Room
real
to
songs.
make a big
Mistake.
I was,
That still works.
I was trying to think of a different word. Wank steaks. Well. Welcome to the Breakdown Podcast. As always, Heidi's here. And then we also have a special guest. I have Max Price here with us. Hi.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah. You're here for Middle
Ground
Ground.
Comedy Festival.
How's that going?
It's really fun. There's 2 stages, one inside, one outside, and they did a really great job putting it together. I mean, like I'm super impressed with how good it is for it being their first year. Like the shows are full, and they just have a really good idea of how to keep the crowd and the performers happy.
Is it cold
and
as shit out there though?
It's a little chilly. It's a little chilly. Yeah. I definitely wasn't taking that into thought whenever I was packing, and I have been taking a lot of shots just to warm up. So by the end of the night, I'm like wasted just because I'm trying to.
Yeah, like, this has nothing to do with like my ability to drink.
This is a temperature thing.
I'm just really cold. Like that's why I'm drunk. I'm gonna start using that excuse every time I get too drunk. Like, oh no, it's just really cold, dude.
I was freezing to death.
I had to get like this.
It's the middle of July, Sarah.
You're literally sweating.
You ruined 4th of July again. What do you?
I was freezing.
I'm part salamander. Relax.
That's awesome.
I have to do this.
I will say when you were packing, I did notice because we went to Tampa together for that show, and I was like, damn, we all have a very interesting fashion sense, like you, Ben, and I. And I was like, what?
Wait, like they don't correlate?
No,
at
they
all?
did. They
everything went well together.
Yeah, we were all like way too extra to like be on stage. Like there's no reason any of us needed to be that like.
Our fashion sense is all as loud as we are as humans. We're all just like everything we wear. It was just this like because that's how I wear all very brightly colored.
Yeah.
Well,
everywhere we walked into, we were just like the loudest and also the loudest people. Just
I could see that. That doesn't surprise me in any way.
where's your fashion inspo from?
Oh.
Trauma.
Yeah. I just honestly, if I see something I like, I'll put anything together. I love streetwear fashion and just brightly colored things, and I like to try to like color coordinate like any chance I get. I'll try to match up the colors in my shirt with my shoes or my hat or whatever, like I did today.
You're like, look at this.
You know, honestly, that's props to you because I feel like most men just can't get it together.
Wait, is your hat a camel hat?
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Vintage
Thrifted.
90s original.
I would say, was it
camel hat, dude.
thrifted?
That's amazing.
Oh, all of my clothes are thrifted.
Oh, same.
Oh, yeah.
The best.
What's your thrifting process like? Because I know Heidi and I have a very specific thrift.
Yeah, I was gonna say we have a.
What? Well, I mean, there's this one really great place in St. Louis that I go to. It's just called Half of Half Name Brand Clothing. And it's just this huge warehouse where that like every 3 weeks or so they get a new shipment in, and it's all name brand stuff. And you they just constantly cycle stuff out. I mean, I get shirts like this for like $5 to $7, and I have like. I mean, they get in some like obscure stuff, but also some really like big name like Fashion Nova and shit like that. Just like
does Fashion Nova make guys clothes?
I know.
Yeah,
they do.
Oh,
yeah.
I know a guy that had a Fashion Nova sponsorship.
Wow.
Yeah, just all the skinny jeans he could ever imagine, just delivered straight to his
That's
door.
a lot of skinny jeans.
I felt when I thrift, I am one of those people that
these are Fashion Nova from the thrift store.
Oh, so you got cheap because Fashion Nova is already pretty cheap.
Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah. I think I got these for like $5-6.
I can't fucking stand when I go to like a thrift store though, and then it's pretty much the same price. Like when it's like Shein, and then you go to a thrift store and it's like $6 at the thrift store. I'm like, bitch, this is $6 on Shein. Like,
Well, you're not paying for shipping.
but I like to find when I'm like thrifting. Sometimes I'll go to one of the places that like buys them and then resells them. Like there's a place called Naptown Thrift here that's pretty cool.
How come we haven't been there?
What?
I don't think I've been there with you.
I don't think we have either. I used to go. I don't want to talk about who I used to
Wow,
go
your
with.
meticulous process together is really breaking down.
Sarah, it's falling apart.
Where were you?
Now, where were you?
You get home, I just start slamming a gavel.
What thrift stores have you been to?
And did you find anything?
We normally go to like Goodwill and like actual thrift, like Salvation Army, that kind of stuff, because I don't feel like a lot of times when they resell them and buy them and resell them, they're like more expensive. So I think it's cooler to find a shirt like that, like for like $3 at actual Goodwill.
Okay.
You're like, I hate.
You're like, I actually don't agree with you at all, and I think your ideas are really dumb.
I just like, I don't think that far into it. I don't know. I just go where I know the clothes are that I want.
I feel like it's more satisfying though when you find it in like a pile of shit and it's just like old, gross.
Yeah,
clothes.
like you have to like dig through like underwear that has shit stains in it.
Exactly.
To find that shirt.
And then you find that shirt and like all the shit. You're like digging through like literally like piles of shit. And then all of a sudden you pull out that shirt and you're like, this was worth it. You got shit all over your hands. You're like, this 100% was worth it.
Yeah, I don't need that kind of fulfillment. I just need convenience.
Is that what's happening?
You're like, I'm kind of a happy person.
Are we filling a void?
I don't need those little wins in the day. I just need to save 45 minutes.
Oh man,
I'm not gonna look.
Sarah, we might have to deep dive into that later. Maybe are we filling an unnecessary void? Is that what's happening?
What are we doing? Why are we doing that? Well, you just ruined our entire like.
Yeah, you really threw a wrench in our meticulous thrifting.
What else can I ruin for you?
Every Sunday we like try and go thrifting at Goodwill, and now like I'm like, do we do that?
And we go sit at Texas Roadhouse.
Was this necessary?
Why have we been doing this? Do we need to go to Texas Roadhouse anymore either? Like,
I don't know, man.
Max, how do you feel about Texas Roadhouse? Jesus Christ, ruin that for us real quick.
No, it's Texas Roadhouse Fox, dude.
Okay.
So hard.
All right, we're back on track.
The cinnamon butter biscuits or whatever.
Butter biscuits.
Whatever you call it. Or
butter
rolls,
biscuits.
rolls, whatever. Whatever, same thing. Biscuit, roll, whatever.
Okay,
What's the difference?
we're getting better now. So you want to talk about what your biggest breakdown ever was? I want to ask you this.
My biggest breakdown. Okay, so I mean, are we like? I feel like there's a few different avenues that can go. So like, are we talking like hit rock bottom and like was like I need to turn my life around, or are we talking about like just something that made me
Why
like,
don't
snap?
you pick? Why don't you pick what you want to tell us?
I don't know. I like the thought of your like rock bottom because I know I know mine, and I feel like when you hit rock bottom, you go up. I don't know if that's
so,
or if you may have just like stayed in rock bottom. You had to like slowly crawl your way out.
I have a very specific moment. I'm in September. I'll be 7 years clean from meth.
Woo!
And I mean, I'm still a terrible person, so you don't have to but
he still takes Adderall, so
no more meth, but a lot of Addies.
He just takes less.
I still smoke prescription Adderall.
You're like, I turned my life around. No, I'm just on the prescription.
I'm still snorting Adderall on a regular occasion, but I quit meth. So
Crack, cocaine, just not meth. But no, Can
I ask you, like, how did you get into meth? Because like I feel like I was like a huge party girl. I got into a lot of different drugs. I've never been offered meth ever. Like I'd probably do. That's probably a great thing because I'd probably try it. But like,
well, the problem is I was just like cool as fuck.
The problem was everybody loved me.
Yeah, no. you just like I don't know. Sometimes you meet the right people or the wrong people at the wrong time. I mean, depending on how you want to look at it. But I just when I first started going to high school at where I went to high school, I'd like just moved to this school, and
Did you go to
I
high
didn't know
school?
anyone. Yes.
You're like, where I went to high school at this
Well, I wasn't gonna say
at this high school that I went to.
And it was a school that I had to go
You guys have heard of it, right?
It was high.
It was
really
online.
high.
Well, I was gonna mention it, but I was like, nobody knows what the name. It was called Oakville. But anyways, no one like
It was a
knows.
high school.
You're
It
like
was online.
protecting the high
It was
school.
online.
Yeah.
It was really high
Did
in
you
there.
do meth in there or something? Like,
They gave me the meth. My friend group was the Druggies, and I started hanging out with them, and then you just you go to those parties, so then you meet other people at those parties, and eventually you're just whatever. And I can remember
So wait, this was high school. So you were like 17.
Yeah. I didn't do meth until I was out of high school. I was doing other drugs a lot. I mean, like by the time I graduated, I'd been to rehab, but there was very few things I hadn't done. But then it was right after high school that I tried meth for the first time, and then I was very good about, like, I was a very high functioning user, and I was like, my addiction was like the way that didn't want anyone to know what I was doing, so I was very discreet about it.
Like even the people you were doing it with, or
no one knew that. The only person I did it with was the person that I got it from, and I had and one of my friends. So it was just two people, and then no one else even knew that I was doing it, because I only did it with those people, and I knew I wasn't going to be around other people for a long time. I never did it in public, and I didn't even do it every single day. It was probably maybe 4 days a week or something.
but
like
you felt
that.
like you needed to do it. Like it wasn't like there came a point where it wasn't like for fun. It was like,
yeah, it was like I couldn't like do anything productive without it. Like if I needed to get anything done, I was just because whenever like you come down from it, then you're gonna feel like shit for a while and just be very like groggy or whatever. So then whenever I was like, okay, well I need to get these things done or whatever, because it would be like when I was
even shower or anything.
because it used to be because it started out because it's like a slippery slope. It started out as being like, oh, I'll do this and then I'll just get more done or whatever, and I'll just be even more productive. And then it got to a point where it was like, okay, well now I can't do anything unless I've done it, so it's like I could survive without it. I wasn't like a junkie on the street. Like
you weren't like that like commercial in the weed commercial where you're just like on the couch. That like,
I mean, you're kind of the exact opposite of that. You're not.
Yeah, I was
You're not
gonna say, I
melting into
wouldn't
the
say
couch.
you'd be melted into the couch by
without
any
it,
means.
though,
You're picking
without
up the
it.
couch.
You're picking the couch up and throwing
You're
it.
actually taking the couch apart and putting it back together.
You're like holding up one arm and vacuuming with the other, but disassembling it, and trying to turn it into a
Trying to
rocket
figure
ship.
out how the hell it works.
Turn it into a computer somehow.
That would have been really useful for the leg on this chair. It's falling apart. Any given second, I could hit the ground right now.
If you got a pookie pipe, I can probably fix that.
He's like, I didn't lose some of the things.
And so it just it kind of gets out of hand. And but the one time that I like for years I was so good about that, and then I started doing it with a friend of mine who I found out was like also doing it, and he was
how
much
did you
more
guys
well
find
done.
out? Both of you, were you just like,
We were hanging out.
you had like the SpiderMan moment where you're like, are you doing that? Like, why are you
You're both
vacuuming
picking
the
up
couch?
couches, yeah.
You both have a couch in your hand, like,
I didn't.
we like it was like we're both trying to smoke a half-finished cigarette from a stranger's ashtray. It's like Lady and the Tramp, like lock eyes, smoking someone else's cigarette that they flicked on the ground. No, we were hanging out, and I think we were like both at a house party, and he was much more open about it though. Like he didn't care like that people knew. Like he almost like wanted people to know. Like he was like that guy. Like
He wore
just,
it on his chest.
Yeah, exactly. Like he
he
thought
just
it.
got meth tattooed on his chest.
And he had. Yeah, I mean, he was very, very open about it.
So how old were you when this happened? When Homeboy was openly doing meth in the open air.
So that would have
Out
been
in the Kroger parking lot.
Man, I'm so bad at like
Time frames.
Yeah, I'm the worst. That's why I was so bad at history, is because I can never remember dates or time
same.
frames or ages. Like I never remember.
literally, like-
especially because like especially when you're doing drugs, like it's all just a long blur. Like so somewhere around the age of 20, give or take.
Yeah. So you're young.
Yes, and
You weren't even legally allowed to drink alcohol yet.
and then Yeah. Oh yeah. It was funny. By the time I was legally able to drink alcohol, I didn't
drank
even
all the
drink.
alcohol
I
in the
didn't even
world.
drink. I didn't even want to drink that much anymore. Well, like me and my buddies' fake IDs worked from the time we were 17.
Yeah.
So it was like we were already going
You
to
had
bars
already-
for like 4
yeah.
years. So it was like, what was the
You were asking for like O'Doul's, like non-alcoholic beers and shit at
Can I have a
21.
Heineken Zero,
Boring.
please?
You're like, I can't stomach that shit anymore. Okay, so
eventually at one point we wanted to go to we had like shared our one of our favorite bands was the Misfits, and they were in Chicago at Riot Fest. It was the 40-year reunion of the original lineup of the Misfits headlining this festival, and so we decided we're gonna go up together, and he's like, hey, it's this 3-day festival, let's binge, and like do it. And like, I'm, whatever. It was, I'm just following his lead. So I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And, we had a great time, we're painting the town crystal, and, but it's like 3 days,
You guys end up part as a crew. You guys are assembling the stages.
just assembling the stages for them.
They end up just giving you the guitar and the drum set.
They give you money, they pay you. You're like, fuck yeah, more meth.
So it was, it was 3 days, but it was the first time that I had ever done that like long of a binge, like I'd been up for, like a day and a half before, but like this was,
3
days. We
days.
also were doing it like the day before we went up there. So like we were up for like 4 days doing
Just
this.
no sleep at all.
Yeah, no sleep. Like,
But
just
you
totally
don't,
dehydrated.
you don't feel tired.
Totally
Like,
dehydrated. Yeah. See, that's the thing about meth is that like all the terrible decisions you're making along the way are being superseded by the fact that you're high as hell.
Right.
So like you're not feeling any of that, and then it's like saving it up all at once, like to receive like all at once when you crash. And so, I mean, just, you're going to be sore from running around the festival, dehydrated. We were eating practically nothing, and up for 4 days and stuff, and our original plan was to like have enough to get us all the way through the festival and then drive home before like having to crash.
Without sleeping.
Yeah, before having to crash. But
because if you crash at all, like there's no like once you crash, you can't like just re-up.
yeah, well,
like-
we didn't know anyone in Chicago with with
okay.
thing or anything, so
But like
it's a much harder drug to get than just like
Yeah.
so, like you can be like like, hey, you guys got any coke? Like coke is like a lot
or
of
you could be
everyone's
like, do you
doing
have any
coke.
like Molly that you're a little unsure of? Because I feel like
that's pretty common too. But we didn't ration well, and we ended up doing the last of it on the final day, like early on, and so by the time the Misfits came on, we were like starting to come down. Well, I lost him, by the way. Like because this motherfucker was crazy. He, on top of all of that, he also on the last day took like a few hits of acid, and he was
hell
you're
no.
just a methy acid
and
person.
he was drinking. So I mean, his brain was just melting like a grilled cheese. Like he's just
I didn't know there was one up there anymore. It's like coming out of his ears.
He's lost,
He literally
dude.
just like took that hit of acid,
Holy
which is like
shit.
Yeah, he
threw the
was
brain out.
lost. So he's
like mentally and physically lost.
yeah. He's just, so like I just lose him, whatever.
And it's just
then,
the two of you there.
Yeah, that like of our friend group. Yeah, we didn't know anyone else, but so like I lose him, but I'm like I'm gonna go get up close for this show, and so I get up there, and it was packed in. Like okay, so it was the very last show of the entire festival, and there's like it was the one show where there weren't other shows going on. So at this one stage, there are tens of thousands of people here, and it is so crammed. I mean, this is a huge show. Like if you're a punk fan at all, like the 40-year reunion of the Misfits is a huge deal.
Okay.
Especially the original lineup. And people are
okay.
packed. Yeah.
I love it.
Just think of a band that you love that's not together anymore, reuniting for the first time in 40 years. And people, so people are crammed in. It's so tight. Like you couldn't even mosh. Like people were trying to mosh, but like you were I mean, there was a body pressed up against you on all four sides. Everyone just sort of like moved, like
swaying,
it was like we're like synchronized swimmers.
Every
We're
once
just
in a while,
like
someone would just throw a punch. Like
you couldn't even. It was literally like this. Your arms were either like this or like this. Like it was. You were just moving together like synchronized swimmers. Like it was just like. So there was no like real moshing, but I mean, you were crammed in for the show, and like probably with like 3 songs left. It just hit me all at once. Like I just crash hard. Like all the, my sore legs, dehydration, no eating, no sleeping. It just hits me all at once. And my legs just completely give out, like just buckle, just can't use them anymore. Like the rest of my body's intact, but I literally
and you're literally crammed in. That's making me so uncomfortable thinking.
I know. I was going to say, could you? Oh, and you're about to get trampled. I'm sure. If you hit the ground.
No. So this is what was so crazy about it is that my legs didn't work, but we were crammed in so tight that my body didn't even hit the ground.
Oh my God.
So I made it through 4 days of nonstop partying, and then I spent the last 3 songs of the entire festival getting Weekend at Bernie around the pit, dude. Just want to get it like dragged around. Like everyone's moving around, my legs are just like scraping along the ground. And
that's terrible.
Yeah, and
that's amazing.
I'm literally like
that's amazing.
He's literally asleep.
I'm literally like getting dragged around, like reevaluating all my life decisions. Like maybe
during like your favorite band's
I should get
concert,
sober. Yeah.
Like
yeah.
at like the peak of what should have been like the best moment of your life, and you're just like, oh no,
no legs. I'm dehydrated, and I'm about to start crying.
We have to get back home.
I'm just like sitting there, like I could probably figure out how to clean the house sober. So that night, like in that moment, and then once everything was done, just like that come down was so terrible that that night I was like, I'm never touching it, and I just quit cold turkey.
Really?
Because like coming down from a 4-day binge is. I've never felt anything more excruciating in my life. It is
like mentally, emotionally,
all
like
of it.
physically,
but like I mean mentally and emotionally too. I mean, I was
sorry,
almost crying. But
crying.
I mean, it was
like at the concert or like
just like we had to like because both of us were so like neither of us could drive. We were like we felt so terrible, so we had to stop on the side of the road, and we were like, my buddy's
your buddy definitely was not driving.
No.
My buddy, I don't even know how you found that man. To be honest,
it took a while. It took a while. Well, I couldn't even.
Where'd you even know where to look?
Once everyone's gone, I had to I couldn't even use my legs. Like I had to lay down on the ground for a while. And then I finally kind of
crawling to find your friend.
No one's asking you if you need help.
But
what?
No, people came up to me, but I was just like, just leave me alone. It's you don't want to be a part of this. And we finally found each other and got in the car and but both of us attempted to drive, but we were just so. I mean, it was just so bad. Yeah, it was. So we pulled over, and his dumbass had to work the next day and didn't.
Oh, he didn't go to work.
No, no, it did not happen. So we
where did he work at?
The only way to fall, the only way to fall asleep was we had a bunch of Xanax. So we took a bunch of Xanax just to pass out on the side of the road, and the next day it's wait, I don't know how a cop didn't
I was gonna say that seems crazy.
I don't know how we just got away with that, but it was getting into the evening of the next day by the time we woke up. And we woke up because my buddy's boss was calling him. My buddy's boss was calling him, and he was like, "Yo, you're late. Where are you at?" And he's like, "Oh fuck, I'm in Chicago." And I think he got fired. I don't know.
Literally just says where was he working in Chicago?
He's like, I'm on Interstate 65.
I'm coming down off of meth, acid, and a lot of other things.
Yeah, just the fact that he was willing to drive on acid is insane to me.
Oh yeah, he was.
Because I took a bus on acid one time, and that was terrifying. I literally I thought the bus was going 90,000 miles an hour. I was like, hold on to your fucking pussy, we're about to lose it.
Yeah, well, especially being with like with strangers, it was probably but
Oh yeah, the bus was actually in Chicago. I took the bus from like Chicago to the Indiana
Chicago's
Dunes.
the place to
oh,
be.
it wasn't just like a local bus; it was
No,
a bus.
yeah. And I was
Tour
on
bu-
it, and it was
you're on a
shaking.
tour
And I was
bus.
like,
You're on the Greyhound. Like, is this
Why the fuck did you think that was a good time to do that?
because I wanted to go to Chicago, but we were staying at the Indiana Dunes, but we wanted to take acid for the nature feeling of the Indiana Dunes, but we took it too early, and so then like I'm like peeking on this fucking bus to the Indiana Dunes, and I'm like, oh, like this is nothing like the ocean. There was like this picture of a guy, and it was like an anti-smoking commercial, or not an anti-smoking, like an anti-smoking picture. And the guy, I kept looking at him, and he kept like lunging out at me, and he looked so scary. I was like, we gotta get off this bus, dude. I'm losing
Just
it.
was that your
fucking
first
come out
time
the
taking
window.
acid?
It was, yeah, that was my first time taking acid.
Is it your only time taking
It was
acid?
no, I've taken it twice since then, but I don't like it. I'm not really a psychedelics person.
Oh, see, that's me. That's what I am. I still love psychedelics. That's like psychedelics are like my anti-drug though.
Yeah.
Like that's how I keep from like doing worse shit, you know?
No, I would love to enjoy mushrooms. I think that would be really cool if I could.
I'd love to be happy.
Yeah, I think that'd be so cool. Like, especially like smoking weed. Like, I'd love to be able to smoke weed.
I honestly feel like that is just so crazy to me that you can't even like do it by yourself and enjoy
I can't
it.
smoke.
Like,
I can't smoke weed. Though.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay, so I'm not
weed,
allowed
weed
on that.
makes weed makes me crazy.
Oh yeah, like I'm
like
literally
crazy
like.
how? What do you mean?
I just be like, I'll be like I could be on a quarter of mushrooms right now and you wouldn't even be able to tell. But if I take a baby hit of weed, I will be in the fetal position in the corner of that room, just like waiting for it to end.
Thank
my
you.
God.
It makes me. I don't know.
Every time I get
freaks
high,
me
I'm like,
out.
when am I not going to be high anymore? Like, how much longer?
Sometimes I feel like for me though, like I love, if I'm in the right headspace, I love like mushrooms and like I will not do acid. That's one I will not do. But I think like my anxiety just fucks me up so bad that like I will overthink everything when I'm on it if I'm not in a good headspace. Like I feel like shrooms are great, but I don't want to be like tripping the fuck out.
Here's the thing. I've never had like a bad trip from mushrooms. I've never been like, ugh, I'm freaking out. I've just always been like,
It's always my
fine.
anxiety that fucks it up.
Like, it
though.
kind of like makes my head feel like it's like heavy.
It's okay.
And I don't know if I love that.
The common, like, I would say misconception, but where like people go wrong. So like I am huge on the healing and growing properties of psychedelics, especially mushroom stuff. Like if I didn't, I always say if I didn't do comedy, like I would be like doing something much more heavily with mushrooms. But
but I also think like with shrooms, like I love the microdosing part of it. I have not ever done
microdosing's
enough
great.
that like I do like the tripping out.
the problem is a lot of people don't really know exactly how to, like, people don't realize like how important it is to, I mean, there's different strains that have different properties and I mean different amounts are going to do different things. You need like different strains for different, what, like depending on what you want to get out of it. So like mushrooms, like a lot of people don't try to use it as a party drug. Like people like go out and do shit. It's
Yeah,
like
I don't
mushrooms are for like growing, healing, bonding, connecting with other people, or like if you're doing it by yourself, it's like self-reflection and like different strains.
Yeah, that's a
different
bad
strains,
one.
different
I'd hate
strains,
doing that.
different strains do different are gonna have different effects on you and like what you're trying to get out of it. So like people will just like, people don't realize like how important that is, and they'll just take like however much of whatever and do whatever. It's like, no, you need to go into it with a purpose. You need to know like, okay, this strain is like a much higher, more like mental high, not so much like on the body. It's gonna, you know, like there's like different strains that are better for being alone and like self-reflection. There's strains that are better for doing with a friend and like connecting and bonding and talking about and just kind of like learning
How
about
do you find the
human
different
psyche.
strands?
I mean, you just got it. Well,
You're like, you got to know someone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
You're like,
basically.
You just have to
you're
know.
like,
like,
pretty
you have
much
to,
I'm cool as
research
fuck.
it, too.
yeah.
man.
Well, I mean, Colorado. I mean, yeah. Well, luckily, you know, it's
Oh, yeah, they're
recreational
legal.
Colorado, so it's a little bit easier out there. But I mean, yeah, I mean, you also have to, like, my guy always has like many different strains and stuff. And then like kind of depending on what I want to do, or like, you know, if I have a friend, you know, I've had lots of friends that have come to me, and I'll trip with people for their first time so that they're comfortable. And you know, I'm very good at like, depending on what they want to get out of it, what they want to do, kind of like different exercises or just like activities and stuff with them, and like give them a different strain.
I
Yeah,
know, I'm like, have I been doing this wrong? This whole
yeah, like normally I'm just like, well, now what?
Yeah, I've tripped with people for their first time like many times, depending on what they're trying to get out of it. And it's amazing what you can. I mean, like one of my best friends, she, you know, had like very severe depression, and I did like she microdosed, started microdosing later on, but like first we did just like a real, you know, like a full trip, and we did like a bunch of stuff together, and like by the end of it she like literally like broke down, like tears of joy, but she like broke down crying, and she said like, I just like feel like all that self-hate and depression and anxiety just like washed off of me. And the next day she was like, just the next like several days she kept texting me, and she's like, I can't believe like how much happier I am.
That's
like
crazy.
You know, it's like, and I mean, but you really have to be careful with it. I mean, it's like, it's not just something to like fuck around with, you know. It's like these are used by ancient tribes in very important rituals.
I mean, there's even like, there's a lot of like research being done just for like on the other side of like people who have really bad PTSD, like stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah.
they're really trying to like push it to be able to use it for like modern medicine, which I think
will
they
say,
should.
like, I'm just not a responsible person. So like the first time that I did it with like my friend who was just at my house, but like she like just started like getting really sad about, she's like, I think that I'm annoying. I think that like I like talk about myself too much. And I was like, I was having a completely different like experience. I was like, what are you talking about? You're like the funnest person in the world. Like, come on, let's go.
Yeah,
like,
you
work
guys were on
outside
two
for a little
completely
bit.
opposite.
And like I didn't understand at that moment like
She was having a breakthrough.
yeah. And I was just like, what's wrong with you? Let's go outside and look at stars. Come on. Like, but
You very commonly, well, and it's always like, even I always say this too, like even a bad trip is a good trip, just bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
That's the
like
other
you're
thing,
going,
too, that
like you
sucks.
learn, the bad trips are the ones where you learn, like once you've like come down, and once you can like reflect on it, like those are the ones where you learn about yourself, and like you're like that are going to actually like change how you view yourself or others, or just like life in general, and give you a different perspective. Like it sucks in the moment, but like that's like, those are important to have as well. But like you'll very commonly see people like, especially if they look inward, they see themselves completely different than they do when they're sober. Like people who are generally like very self-conscious and hate themselves and think they're the worst will take mushrooms and be like, wait a second, no, I'm awesome. Like I'm a good person. Like I, you know, like I do really good things. Like I'm good looking. Like I whatever. And
I get that from
and
pretty
give that-
much anything though.
But then
Like-
but then the opposite is that like people who are very full of themselves, or like are very arrogant and have a hell of an ego, will I've seen take mushrooms and just like have a meltdown and be like, oh my God, like I'm actually awful. You know, like I need to change.
terrible.
I need to
That's what's
change.
wrong
I
with
need to
me.
change this about my life. Blah blah. Blah. You know, it's like it very commonly will just like switch your perspective all the way around and kind of let you see things from a different angle.
But I mean, like you said, though, I think I always hate when and I think that's why I don't like doing drugs with other people, because I feel like often like you are having very different moments.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes it's really hard to like navigate how you can like blend the two together, especially if like you said, like if you're on the other end and you're like on like a higher end, or you're like really happy, and then like she's over here like losing her mind, like crying, having a breakthrough. It's like, how do you like come together to not like ruin one or the other? You know what I mean? I think that's like sometimes really hard to navigate. Like we went to brunch. There was one time we went to brunch and it was like 8 of us, and I think
You
2
guys
of us
all
did
took
mushrooms.
Oh.
And
At brunch?
yes, when we went to the Oakmont.
Was
And
I there?
yes, and our roommate is like crying and like yelling at her, and then I start crying because she's crying, even though I was having a good time. And then like after that, we
yeah, I
ended up at
didn't take
Burnside
that.
or something. And like once I started coming down, I was like, I need to go to bed. Like I am about to start thinking about every wrong thing that has ever happened in my fucking life.
I forgot you guys both cried.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to get to a point where you can take mushrooms with sober people.
Yes.
And like be chill. Like I never recommend that for people's like first several times.
Yeah.
Doing it. Like your first several times should be just with someone that you trust, that you're comfortable with, who's also tripping, or at least has taken like a small amount, and that you don't get like knows how to navigate like, those situations with you. But like just being, if you just like, especially your first few times, if you are around sober people, all you can think about is like, oh, they like you get paranoid, and like it's not gonna work out well. Like it took the only, because like I used to just for the like, I used to take a strain that made me really creative, and I would go on stage and I would just riff with the crowd on mushrooms.
What?
Yeah, I have some videos on my Instagram where I was just like,
Sarah would be fucking dead. She would be on the ground laying down.
Yeah, I have a clip on my Instagram of when I
and you tell people that you're like on.
Yeah,
mushrooms?
I would just go up, but like by this time I'd had a ton of experience with it, and I also I went into it with a specific purpose to enhance my creativity and grow as a performer and see what that could do for me. And so like I went up there and I just went up there and I was like, hey, I just want you guys to know I'm on mushrooms, and I'm just gonna kind of see. Yeah.
And I pissed my pants.
And I was like,
I wouldn't tell him anything, because I think that would almost make it worse.
I'm like, let's just have fun. Let's just see where this goes. And so I just started talking to the audience and stuff, and I just like started having conversations with people and riffed. And let's see, one time it went amazing. That was the one, and luckily I had that recorded because that's what I put on Instagram. One time it went amazing. One time it went good. And then 2 times they like, I don't know what it was with the crowd. Well, they're just a little bit older, I guess. But like there were 2 times. There were 2 times that as soon as I mentioned it, the energy like it could feel the energy shift so hard.
I hate that feeling so much. Like just like an energy shift of any sort.
When you're tripping, especially, you feel it.
Physically
you can physically feel a shift in energy like that. And as soon as I said it, like they just were like, I don't like this. And
yeah, they're like, this isn't what I signed up for.
I could not get them on board with anything. And bombing, like killing while you're tripping is like a heightened experience, but like bombing while you're tripping is a heightened experience the other direction. And
you're just digging yourself into a hole.
It was so painful.
Okay, so when you were bombing and you were on mushrooms, did you ever think to just go into like your like old like material?
No, because I had already
committed to it.
Yeah, I'd already committed to what I was doing. I already told them what I was gonna do, what was happening, and I was like, I'm just gonna ride this out.
At, like, amazing for you to be so open
Funny
about
Bone. That. Yeah, my home club, Funny
and
Bone.
The Funny Bone was just cool with it.
He doesn't watch the show. They don't care. That's one of the upsides of that club is like the manager doesn't ever go inside the showroom, so like you feel so free to explore.
Well, he's about to now after he listens to this
free
like
reign.
viral podcast.
Yes, yeah.
Our one listener.
He's our only listener. I want you to know that. We've looked up the data and it's manager.
We actually sent it straight to him. He's fully aware that you're here.
I would never stop laughing if I found out that was true. Because if you knew him, like the idea of him listening to the podcast, I don't think he's ever listened to a podcast in his life. And this being the one where he changes his tune. And I don't think he would care even if he knew. I mean, like I have a good standing relationship there. And I like, and 2 of the times went really well. But I mean, 2 of the times I bombed so hard. And like the second time, I just decided that it was a little too difficult to bomb like that, to like take that risk, because it would just like that just like really like fucked with me. So I was like one of the times went really well, but I think I'm just gonna like hold that feeling in a jar and just kind of quit doing it.
Just gonna put a lid on that.
Yeah. Save that for later.
I don't want to do that ever again. Wow, I feel like we just went through like the 7 stages of everything. Meth, we were so high there for a little bit. That was fun. And then we talked about the mushrooms. We really went low. We went to a deep spot. So we
going on a roller coaster.
Yeah, we've gone on a roller coaster with you.
Love a good coaster.
No, I did just want to say, like, we hadn't physically met until Tampa, and then I got to see you on stage, and like I was just telling my friend, I was like, I'm probably not a good person to ask about, because she said her therapist says she needs to stop oversharing. And I was like, you don't overshare. And I was like, well, I'm probably not the best person to ask, because I literally tell my deepest, darkest secrets on a stage to a bunch of people. And like when I watched you on stage, I was like, oh, this man is, you're not scared to say anything on stage. Like you.
Oh yeah, I'll talk about everything. You have to be vulnerable. People appreciate that.
Yeah, you'll like, and I think some comics aren't as vulnerable sometimes, but I remember a girl came up to us and she was like, you're just like so vulnerable. You like say exactly what happened, and like you can tell you're not bullshitting, because people can really like see that. So I think it's just, I think
it's crazy that people
I wanted to give you a compliment that I think it's awesome how vulnerable you are, especially like your life and what you've gone through, and like you just don't hold back on it, because I think comedy is a good way to do that.
Yeah, no, great. And I mean, and same with you. Like you were up there talking about your, you know, like dark moments and your embarrassing moments, and I that's like what people appreciate that so much, especially because a lot of people yeah, they can relate, you know, and they're like in like the amount of times that people have been like, thank you for saying what like I would be like too scared to say, but like I feel that way. I feel that same way, and that's like sometimes one of the coolest things. Like I've had, especially like when I get into, you know, talking about being a former addict and going to jail and all that stuff. Like I've had, you know, like I had a joke about, you know, one of my overdoses, and people like this man and woman like came up to me and were like thanking me for talking about that, because they had one kid who died from a drug overdose, and they have another one who is like at like close to that point. And already, you know, so they're like, you know, they're about to lose 2 kids to drug overdoses. And, you know, like I was, you know, I spoke very vulnerable about my addiction and overdoses and stuff, and we were sitting for like 30 minutes, and like we ended up like crying, just like talking about you know, like, you know, because like my sister died from a drug overdose, so like, you know, we're like sharing our like stories and everything, and it's just, and it's crazy. Like I never really, when I just did it because that's like how I write, is like I can't like do like, you know, what you know, grocery stores are weird. I don't know. You know,
no, it comes from like a personal experience.
Yeah, I can only write from my,
well,
you know,
because
what
it
I've
really is
experienced.
like, I always told people like I used to write poetry. I used to write really sad stories in poetry when I was younger, and then I found out that I could take all that stuff and I could make it funny. So really, I mean, that's all. Sorry, this man. I'm just telling you my deepest.
Get him in here. What's your sir? What is your lowest moment?
Right there was his lowest moment.
What's embarrassing but shouldn't be?
Where are you?
Where were you?
I know for a fact his lowest moment is way lower than any of ours too. So
just by
hopefully those mics aren't
just
on
by
outside.
the coffee stain in his beard. Sir, where were you?
Where were you? But yeah, I just like I figured out how to make that funny. So like it really is just like a level of vulnerability and figuring out like, oh, how can I turn like sister's death? Like how can I like turn that into something funny? And sometimes I don't. Sometimes it goes really poorly, but
that was another thing. Is that like something I learned from Rich Voss, is that when I was doing the weekend with him, is that he was like you can kill doing just like obscure observational material, and then someone else can go up and just do good but not great with personal information, and he goes, and people will remember that person more than the person who killed. Because like if you you go to a show or someone is like talking about a comic they really liked, if it's just like shit that's just like, you know, one liner, like obscure, whatever, like abstract, you know, they're like, I can't remember any of his jokes, I just remember that I laughed. But like people, if someone tells a personal story or whatever, they're like, oh my god, this person talked about this thing, and like they can like remember all your jokes. So it's like cool. It makes you so much more memorable and like keeps you in people's heads. And like you know, Rich was like talking about it. He's like, I've seen comics go up there and murder for 45 minutes And by the time they got done, no one knew a single thing about them.
Yeah.
Like they didn't tell you anything about them. And like people want to know who, like if they're giving you their trust to like entertain them and like, and you know, like you're up there with the microphone, like you're the person in charge, like people want to know like what's this person's deal, you know, like who are you, where'd you come from, like what kind of person are you, like
so
you know, like
That's
that people
true.
want to know that about you. And so the more personal you get, the more memorable you are, and also the more someone like becomes a fan, like the more loyal of a fan they'll be, which like you know, and I'm like, because like I don't have like, you know, any like crazy like huge fan base, I don't have a ton of Instagram followers, but like I feel like the people that do decide to follow me after shows and like the little bit of a fan base that I do have are like super loyal to me, because like
they feel like they're like a part of you. They know your story. They
and they feel like they feel like connect, and they feel like we're friends, you know. And like they feel close to me, even though like, even if all we've done is like talked for a few minutes after a show, they feel like they know who I am, so like they feel like we're friends, and they feel like they're supporting a friend, you know. And so when they someone that's like earned their trust and loyalty and everything, and that's why like even with the small fan base that I have, like in these places where I have those fans, like I know I can get a lot of people out to shows, because everyone who is a fan will come out to a show, you know. They're actually like they want like for sure going to come to a show if they see I'm there. And I think that's and I prefer that. I would rather have a small fan base that like feels really connected to me.
Yeah, what is that rule? It's like 1,000 fans or something like that. Like 1,000 loyal fans. Like if you have 1,000 loyal fans that are loyal to you, then like you can make it as a comic. You just need like 1,000 loyal fans. But I wanted to go back where you were like saying like you don't have like a ton of followers, but like you have loyal followers. I do think that because you are super vulnerable and you do put yourself out there, if you started putting that online, like I know like now I do a lot of the like sketches and skits and stuff like that, but my TikTok took off. The first one that ever took off was me complaining about being a server, and I was talking about how like I used to like be a night walker and I could never have like a night off, and I didn't see my family because I worked too much, and like it was literally just me ranting to the camera. So that was like the first one that really took off, and I was like, oh, okay, people are like, they got to know me. They started looking at me. The second one that took off was the dick tattoo story. I don't know if you've ever heard this story, but
no, but now I'm interested.
So I got a tattoo on my leg that was supposed to be a jellyfish, but it looked like
I did
penis.
see that. Yes, I did see that.
So that was like the second one that like really just like skyrocketed off. And I think about that like I like the sketches and like the funny stuff that I do like does help with like a social media following, but the stories that have gotten the best views and like I think my loyal followers, like is from me like telling my story and like being vulnerable and saying like, yeah, I got a dick tattoo on my leg, like let's talk about it, and like that is better than just like being funny. Yeah, sharing
embarrassing moments are definitely like people are people, because so many people would just.
I'm telling you, just like get on there and just like fucking talk into the void.
I gotta get better about that. Yeah,
I literally talk to it like it's a fucking black void. I'm just like, I don't know who's listening, and sometimes nobody is. Sometimes I get like 500 views. I'm like, okay, nobody's listening to this shit, but using it as just like a sounding board is great, because you just scream a little bit. And you know, I quit therapy, don't need that anymore. I've got TikTok, so that's nice.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
It's a twofer.
It's good.
So
well, good for you. You figured it out.
I
Clearly you have it all figured out. You're doing well.
Are we gonna have time to do Are we gonna have time to do our question?
Okay. I say we'll get through it.
So, question online this week was something that's embarrassing, but it shouldn't be. Do you have one already?
Okay, so yes, mine was when you're in public and like you choke on your spit and you start coughing and you can't stop coughing. I hate that.
Where you just keep coughing.
Yeah,
and you're
choking and coughing. Yeah, and like your face is red and like your throat is closing up and you just like don't want to outwardly cough because you don't want anyone looking at you.
And you keep trying to talk.
Yes.
You're trying to talk your way out of it,
yes,
but it's like, that just makes it worse.
Yeah, you're choking.
One for me is when like you're like in like a meeting or like around a bunch of people that like you're supposed to be focusing on like a presenter or something and you have to pee during it and you have to get up and go to the bathroom. Something about like standing up.
Getting
and, like,
up and going to the bathroom at any point anywhere is embarrassing.
I'm like, everyone knows I piss.
Everyone knows that I pee.
That actually, that well, you know what that makes me think of is that how embarrassing it is that when you're in a bathroom stall and you fart and it's like that's what it's there for, but like you don't want it's like that's literally the whole point of being there. But like you don't want to make any. I will, bro. I do not want to make when someone like is in the stall next to me and they fart. I'm just like, you must have the biggest dick. Like you have so much confidence to just like let it rip. It's like that's the whole
crazy.
It's like
why are we embarrassed by that? Like this is
but
why
it's
we're
also
here.
one of those things where it's like that is like such a like private thing, and it feels illegal to have bathroom stalls next to each other like that.
I will play music or Instagram at full volume to try to drown out this.
I'm just flushing a million times. And it's like.
I will connect it to a Bluetooth speaker and hold it up.
You like go to the gas station clerk like, hey, do you mind just playing this super loud?
When you are flushing a million times or you have your volume on full, they still know what you're doing. Like everyone knows those tricks.
I'm literally like just fucking up their plumbing. Like
is done
my asshole's just wet, but I don't even have to wipe. Like it's like it's cleaning my asshole while the poop's coming out. I'm like, I don't need anyone to know. But I can sit here and talk to you guys about it. But when it's actually happening, I'm like,
it is so embarrassing.
Or when you like say you're in one of those meetings and you go to the bathroom and the bathroom's so close to where you're at, and then people can hear you peeing.
When is that ever? Do they have? Are they porta potties in these meeting rooms?
No, I was thinking. Okay, so for instance, like Brick Room Comedy Club. I don't think you've ever done Brick Room Comedy Club. It's in Noblesville here.
No.
Their bathroom is like just like right, like it's like such a small stage, so the bathroom's like right there. So I'm like, I bet they can hear me peeing.
I bet they can.
And then I'm gonna go.
You gotta wait till they get a big laugh.
Yeah.
but they're bombing.
I'm like, dude, get it together.
Would you make them laugh one time? So like,
bro. I don't know. I'm also thinking like there was one time like I had like it was like my mom, my boyfriend at the time, my grandma, and a photographer, and we were looking at my like senior pictures, and the bathroom was like really close to the room that we were looking at my senior pictures on, because we were picking them. But I had to go to the bathroom, and so like I like got up and then like
you're having explosive diarrhea.
I literally walked like 2 steps, and I was like, and the bathroom was just right there. I'm like, oh, perfect.
This is perfect.
And I just literally like dropping bombs in there.
How do they look out there? How are those pictures?
Do I look hot? I think we should take them again. I look really skinny now.
Okay, one of the other ones that I really liked on here that made me laugh because this is so true. She said being out of breath after walking upstairs and trying not to breathe heavy around anyone else. I feel that way at the gym too. Like after I get off the treadmill, like I'm like heavy breathing and like dying, and it's like embarrassing to like walk through the crowd of people. I'm like,
the treadmill isn't that bad. It's when it's like something you shouldn't be out of breath from.
Yeah, like walking up one flight of stairs.
Yeah, like sometimes when I come up to your room to talk to you and I'm like, hey,
I'm like, did you just get done with a mile run? You're like, no, I just came up the stairs.
No, just walked inside.
Or the other one that was really funny, and I don't know why this is embarrassing, walking back from your turn in bowling.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that is an embarrassing
That's
one.
Awful.
Especially when you just like guttered it.
Like you have to like turn around and they're expecting an explanation from you.
Right. Like you need to like look them all in the eyes and be like, I have nothing. I got nothing. This is it, baby.
That's how I felt whenever we went to freaking Back 9, and like I didn't know the group we went with. It was for Sarah's birthday. Apparently everyone's fucking golf pros. I cannot golf to save my life. They're all literally like getting these balls in the fucking hole, and I'm like,
yeah, we were getting balls and holes, man. You should have been there.
It's like, yeah, that's the point of the game. Getting all these balls in the holes.
I literally couldn't even hit the fucking ball. Like I left there just swinging. I couldn't even hit it. It was awful.
Dude, I'm always embarrassed getting into an Uber. Because there's something so, like I know it shouldn't be, but I feel so embarrassed. Like it's such a like Can
It's
you
kind of
can
a-
you
yeah,
pick
it's
me
kind of
up?
a
Can you take
vulnerable-
me?
yeah, it's a vulnerable
I can't drive. Can
feeling.
you take me
Especially
here?
if it's somewhere embarrassing where you're going.
like an
It's-
adult
it's-
to an adult.
It's the adult version of like my mom will drop us off if your mom will pick us up.
yeah, absolutely.
Like it's
Yeah, it's like-
it was so
I
embarrassing
always
to me.
like, especially if I'm like going somewhere where like I like am embarrassed to be going. Not that I normally do that, but like if I'm like going to pick up my car from like the night before that I left out like a degenerate, and I'm like, yeah, it's just right there. It's that one parked real shitty on the side of the street. Yeah, just drop. Actually, just drop me off right here.
Don't ask why I'm still in high heels at 6 a.m.
Oh, an Uber.
The
with
walk of
the
shame
walk
with
of
an
shame
Uber.
Uber. You're like,
Hey, good morning.
I was like, I was at my
Yeah, like
boyfriend's. We're
like,
together.
ma-
It's just I don't have my clothes there yet. I know him.
My toothbrush is there, but not everything else.
we don't put a
smell my
label on
breath.
it yet.
I'm good.
Smell a breath. Smell a breath.
Also, when you say goodbye to when you're like having a conversation with someone and you say goodbye, but then your cars are both in the same direction, so you have to walk with them.
That's a good one.
Suddenly, you forget, like you lose all, like you have nothing to talk about anymore. Like you just
Yeah.
walk in complete silence.
Ew,
like
that
you
is
like,
a weird feeling.
You're saying goodbye, and
You just
then
have to do a bunch of head nods, like just.
I always just try to walk faster than them.
Yeah, you're like, I gotta go. You become a track star. You literally
Push them out into traffic. All right.
I guess so. I really have to be.
One for me is when there's only one like appetizer left. Like if you get like a appetizer at the table and there's only one left, and you guys, especially if it's like more than two people's awkward, but if it's like 5 of you and you're like.
I always say,
No,
why does
you
it always
eat it.
happen
No,
that way
you-
too? Like, just fucking eat it. Like, someone
Yeah.
just eat it. Like, why does it
No,
always
you
just
eat it.
one?
I literally will just give it to the server. I'm like, none of us are gonna eat this. Just go ahead, take it.
Eat it
And I'm
back
like, should
there.
we try and split it 5 ways? You're like trying to like cut it up. Everyone's
Oh,
like, no, stop
God.
doing that. Like,
If we all can't enjoy it, none of us can.
Sorry.
just take it.
Someone said putting change back in your wallet at checkout somewhere, like when someone's behind
Yeah.
you.
I don't do that. I've
Or when you're in the drive-through somewhere and you're trying to put your card or something back before you drive off, and they're just like,
I've put my change in just like the Walmart bag.
Change back in the wallet is embarrassing, especially when they don't give it to you fucking bill face. And it's like because I want myself bill face, so it's like they give you like a 10 on top of a 1 that's upside down or like turned the other way, and you're like I'm
you're
trying.
like, you know what? No, look what you did. You're like, no, everyone here is gonna wait, including the people behind me and you.
You did this to me.
Look at this.
Where were you?
Someone said umbrellas. Umbrellas is also a really good one.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Holding an umbrella is.
Yes.
I feel
Degrading.
so demasculated.
Especially when you
degrading.
like walk into somewhere and you
Demasculated? How do
don't
say that?
know like where to put it. Like you're like, where should I put my umbrella?
It's soaking wet and it's just in
Yeah.
everyone's way. Or have you ever seen the umbrellas, like if it's really windy too and they like flip up and then you're trying to fucking like push it back down? A mess.
Especially if it's not raining hard enough. If it's like just
Yes.
enough rain, you're like,
Have you ever had it like flip backward and then it's like pulling you back, like the windowsill is
Yes.
like pulls you back? You
Yes.
look like fucking Mary Poppins. Just like,
You would think that they would have like something better these days and they just don't.
yeah. I honestly would rather just wear a plastic bag over my head.
I would rather wear the poncho, honestly. At
Same.
least you can throw it away.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw that poncho away before anyone sees me in it. I'm just gonna bunch it up. But an umbrella, you have to take it in. You have to let everyone know you're scared to get wet. Like,
I don't want to get wet.
oh, another one is taking an overnight bag somewhere. Like I'm
Yeah.
always so embarrassed for someone to know that I think I'm gonna spend the night.
Because you guys like haven't said it. It's like kind of unspoken, but like no one's
it's
agreed
like,
to it.
It's like say you've like been on like a few dates and like you're about to like go spend the night. Well, maybe spend the night at their house. Like you're going over to their house for
you come
the
with a
first time.
backpack and they're like, what's that?
Yeah, like you're like I thought maybe if
I brought a bag just in case.
and I feel embarrassed for them when they bring an overnight bag. I'm like, oh, you think you're staying?
I'm
Like,
not
I
gonna
want
lie.
you to,
I
but,
feel like in those cases I leave it in my car.
So
So
do
then if I like
I.
need to grab it, I can.
It's just another thing that makes you feel like a child, like being doing a sleepover at someone's house. Like you like walking like my mom said I can't have sugar after 10. So it's like,
Make sure you put away all the pop because I'll get it and I'll find it.
Oh, that's another one. When I was a kid, like my family, like we talked about this, but my family was like kind of like rich trashy. So we had Mountain Dew for breakfast like every single morning. And when I would go stay at my friend's house and they were like, do you want milk or water?
Ew, I know. I used to hate that shit.
I want a sugary fucking Pop-Tart and Mountain Dew, you stupid bitch. But I was so embarrassed about that when I was a little kid.
But I think that's kind of embarrassing now. Like if you wake up and your first drink in the morning is like a Dr. Pepper, like a Pepsi or something.
That's
like,
what you should be embarrassed about. Yes.
Not as a kid, but like as an adult, like if that's your choice of beverage, I'm concerned.
I feel like as a kid I was like embarrassed, but I was more embarrassed to like tell them that like I hadn't had water or milk in like 4 years.
That's one to be embarrassed about that you should be embarrassed about. Actually,
that's the other way around, man.
Yeah, that you were right. you were correct in feeling that way.
Yes.
I don't think I've ever had a soda in the morning in my entire life. I also just like don't drink soda, but like I very like every great once in a while.
Are you one of those guys? You're like, I don't drink soda. It's so bad for you.
Well, it's just like it makes you feel like shit later on.
You know what? There's nothing that would stand in between me and a cold Dr. Pepper sometimes.
I love Dr. Pepper. I mean, if I'm drinking soda, it's gonna be Dr. Pepper
with a lot of ice.
Yeah.
Oh man, see, I knew I could get you.
But I'm not drinking it every day. I'm definitely not drinking it
I'm not drinking it every day either. I just wanted to preface
8 a.m.
by saying if I'm going to drink pop, it is going to be a ice cold Dr. Pepper.
For me, it wasn't until after college that I quit drinking soda like almost every day. And then now I might drink it like maybe once a week at most. And like when I do, it's like I get what people were saying where it's like, oh, it's disgusting. It's so sugary. Like, I don't know why you're doing that. But like, we
all have different palates.
She's got like 4 in her purse right now.
we have different flavor profiles.
Yeah, this is just loaded with Mountain Dew.
Not even regular, but it's Code Red.
Yeah, this is just 14 Code Red Mountain Dews in here.
Code Red used to fuck. That was some good stuff.
Remember, you know what I forgot about? Remember Sobeys?
No. Yes! Wait! Stop! I literally just was talking about that! Dude, they were so good!
What
happened?
Oh
my God, I don't know.
What happened to those?
Listen, we went to this gas station on our way to... Wait, what was that? On our way to Gatlinburg. And they had like, it was Sobe like energy something, like in like the fountain thing. And I was like, I forgot these existed.
Yeah.
The pink one and the pina colada one were so good, dude.
On that fountain
yes,
pop thing.
What even was that, though?
I don't know.
Like,
it wasn't really juice,
It had like the consistency of milk, but it wasn't milk.
Yes.
I don't think I remember. I remember seeing them. I don't think I ever had them.
Good.
Was that that wasn't milk, was it?
It could have been, honestly.
It could have been milk.
What was it? I don't even remember exactly what it tasted like. I just remember they were so good.
It was probably like coconut water. It was probably like the original pink drink from Starbucks.
Was coconut water a thing yet?
I'm saying. It was like the OG.
Had coconut water been invented yet?
It was the OG coconut water.
Were the coconuts giving water yet?
All the coconuts had dried up up until then. We weren't milking the coconuts.
Coconuts weren't wet yet.
They weren't. The coconuts weren't wet yet.
Well, Max, thank you so much. I really do.
I love you.
I love you. I've seen other people be honest.
Don't lie. Are you seeing other people? Don't lie. I love you.
Who is she? Where are you?
Are you going on another podcast? Be honest.
Don't lie. I'm following you home.
Where were you?
You're not making it home.
But do you want to plug anything?
Yeah, I'll be in.
You want to plug it up?
Chicago. Let's see. I'll be at Zany's May 17th, House of Blues May 18th, and Laugh Factory May 19th and 20th. And then I'll be well, before that, I don't know if you have any St. Louis listeners. Yes, those are all in Chicago. And
is that where you're currently living?
Yes. The week before that, I'll be at the Funny Bone in St. Charles, like right outside of St. Louis. And then the week after Chicago, I'll be at Fort Wayne Comedy Club. And if you just follow me on yeah.
Cool.
If you follow me on Instagram, Max Price Comedy 666, Price with a Y. I'll be posting about all that. And then if there are any St. Louis people listening, I'm headlining the Funny Bone August 31st through September 3rd, shooting my special September 2nd. And tickets are available on my Instagram page in the bio. And then there's other stuff too this summer, but that's far down the line. So
Congrats on recording your special, by
thank
the
you
way.
very
That's
much.
fucking
I
amazing.
appreciate it. Thank you.
And then real quick, I'll be in Boston on Thursday. I think this drops on Wednesday, so this should it's gonna be a tough sell.
What venue is that?
The Improv, or no, Laugh Boston.
Yeah, I was gonna
Laugh
say, I don't think
Boston.
there's an
Yeah, they don't
Improv
have an
Boston,
improv.
Laugh
but-
Boston. Tight.
Cool. All right.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks for
coming
coming.
on.
Yeah.
Okay. All
All
right.
right,
Bye.
that's it. Bye.
I don't have you guys at this.
don't have
How do you end
intro.
podcast?
We don't have intro or extra.
Where are you guys? Where were you guys?
Where were you?